Spurs were playing Chelsea at home at 4:30, and lo and behold, it's just...
This is a historically great game for Chelsea, isn't it?
They called it 3 Point Lane, which is embarrassing in itself. But, yeah, today, to go 2 goals up, and I was on the way in here.
Gifted, by the way.
Yeah.
Gifted goals. So, you couldn't get a better leg up in a game.
Absolutely. So then you're thinking, hang about, we've got a nice early start here.
Put something together and seal the game.
Absolutely. That's not what happened at all. The second half became embarrassing. How many percentage of the possession that we had?
Well, actually, watching it, admittedly on the footage, not at the game, the chances Chelsea had in the first half. I know. They squandered so many chances. And Carl Paul definitely looked off it, actually, in the first half. Second half, different level. He come up, Chelsea come up, and Spurs had no control of the game. And they were asking for trouble, and it duly come their way. Yeah,
for those that might be joining us for the very first time here on The Final Word, you're very welcome. 03717223344. For those that don't know, I'm a big Spurs fan. Season ticket holder. Me and my son go as much as I can when I can because of obviously work. Even have my own Spurs podcast, the same old Spurs podcast, which the name is just...
Speaks for itself.
And... I have been backing Ange, and I have. I've been on here. People go, Ange out, give it time. We're developing. It's a young team. I don't want to keep changing the manager all the time. But I think today, that was the final straw for me. I just thought, you go 2 goals up against Chelsea at home. This is when you can be a bit more intelligent. Start, holding onto the ball a little bit. Try to frustrate them a little bit more. Left ourselves so open. Chances galore. Fraser Forster was fantastic in the first half, the saves he made.
Outstanding, Fraser. When you look at this Spurs team, I'm looking for someone. Where is the hub of the team? Who's in control? Sometimes you look at Liverpool and you must like Van Dijk at the back, like he gives it a control, he gives it a look of assurance.
Yep. Or
you might have a midfield player who does that. Like who controls the midfield and is just releasing the ball like Rodri does at Man City. The Spurs have got no one who's controlling the game. Zero control. It's just like, we go at you, you come at us. We go at you, and you can't do that, particularly when you're home.
Yeah.
You're asking for trouble because teams are set up to counter. The better teams and the teams that are not so good will set up to counter. And the opportunities that you get against Tottenham, hence why Spurs have played 15 games, got 20 points. With Newcastle at 12th with 20 points and Manchester United at 13th with 19 points. Wow. Those 3 clubs have all got major issues.
Big problems. And the thing with Spurs is, an Ange, I'm all for backing someone who's willing to change. And he's gone out there. We know that there probably been problems with set pieces and things like that. Not identifying those problems. Pards, you've been a manager at the highest level. Have you been in a club before where you've gone in there with a philosophy and an idea of how Alan Pardew likes to play football, but then realised we're a club in a different position, we might need to change it? Surely you've done...
Yeah, I've had to, and sometimes the players, I used to like playing a front foot, high pressurised game.
Yeah.
And if you haven't got players who have got the natural physical abilities to do that, or you've got older players in the side, you have to adjust and you have to play to the strengths of the team. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But, this philosophy, this is becoming a problem in the Premier League. Look where Southampton are. The guy will not change his philosophy. They're passing in the 6-yard box yesterday, Southampton. I just can't believe it. Obviously, they're in my old club. I'm absolutely shocked at the way they play in the Premier League. I see a thing with Big Sam this week. Now, Sam's of my generation. He was talking about own half giveaways, right? Mistakes in your own half. It just wouldn't be allowed in our day. Okay, you might think that our football is now prehistoric. It's all different. It isn't actually. Don't put the ball at risk.
Yeah.
You can still play out. You can still manage the game. You can still create from deep, but you don't have to put the ball at risk like they're doing. Spurs, on the other hand, are playing a different game where it's like a high tempo. Let's get through the lines as quick as we can and let's get at the opposition. And likewise, the opposition are doing it to them.
Yeah. That's basketball, football. Let's go straight over to the phone lines. Trevor was at the game today.
Can I just change one thing before you carry on?
Yeah.
What about Chelsea fans? How do they feel, by the way? They must be absolutely delighted. They got now 2 points per game. That's what they're averaging. They're second place. Who would have predicted that? brilliant Chelsea today.
Well, they've spent enough money to get there.
Well, that's,
037172234. Let's go to Trevor. Evening, Trevor.
Hi, Majestic. Hi, Alan. You all right?
Yeah, all right,
I'm not, mate. After that.
Just on my way back from the game. Listen, a lot of the blame today. Listen, I'm an Ange out man, and I was the other night when I called up Jason.
Yeah, I heard, Trev.
The guy is still standing there on the touchline for most of that second half with his hands on his head.
That's my problem now, Trev. That exactly there. And I see Maresca at the end of the Chelsea game animated and loving it, and I just feel that
I agree.
I just feel like Trev. He done so many things wrong at the end of last season that I forgave him for, and I'll give him another chance. Saying about the fans when we, why do you want to lose to Man City and let Arsenal forget about them? I understand what he was trying to do about building a winning philosophy, etc. But you've got to understand the nuances of these things in football clubs, Trev.
He's only got one plan A. There's no B, C or D. And that's the problem. It's who we are, mate. But at the end of the day, he won't change. And until he changes philosophy, he will not be a Premier manager because he hasn't got a clue. And the other thing today you've got to look at, we're 2-1 up. Whoever was going to get the next goal was going to win that game, in my opinion.
Agreed.
And, of course, you've got, I'm sorry, but Basuma giving that penalty away, you saw it coming a mile away when he was about to make the challenge. Yeah. So as soon as that goal went in, I felt we were going to lose that game 4-2. Okay, we just got another goal at the end. But there are a lot of players in that team, as well as blaming the manager, that I believe aren't good enough. I think Son, who I think was world class this season, has been right off it. He hasn't taken his chances. He had 2 or 3 clear-cut chances today, and he's put them past the post. He doesn't make the runs he used to make. I don't rate Udogie at left back. He's great at coming forward, but he's always out of position. That's why we're so open. Our 2 wing backs are too far forward. And playing Romero and Van der Ven, you're chancing your arm with those 2 today because neither of them have had any match practice, and I don't think either of them are fully fit.
Well, I'll tell you something that's a problem as well, because in the first half, and you was 2-0 up, I think, at the time, Carl Palmer drifts into an area behind the central midfield players of Spurs, and he had a 20-yard radius around him. Without how can you leave perhaps the most informed player that kind of space? And that just summed up the game for me.
The guys around me were saying exactly that. We're leaving the best player that Chelsea have got free. No one is taking him out of the game. I don't get it. I don't know what Ange is installing in them. But I said it on Wednesday night, and I hate to say it again, but I cannot see us winning another league game this year. We'll go to
I don't know about that. I think you'll be all right there.
We've been done by Ipswich. We've been done by Crystal Palace. I am telling you, we could go to Southampton next week and get done there as well. And he won't last based on these results.
Absolutely. And you're not wrong there, Trev, because like you said, Southampton away, then you've got Liverpool at home, Forest away, and then we host Wolves at home. I just think looking at it now and looking at Daniel Levy's expression at the end of that game today, he's sacked people for less.
That's always a sign. I always as a football manager, when I've been under pressure at times, when the Sky cameras constantly are going to the chairman, it's a bit of a sign that the pressure's starting to crank up. And, the camera never left Daniel Levy, did he? They must have done about 4 or 5 shots of him. And he's obviously looking stern and concerned. But I don't think he's done the manager any favours anyway. I told you about the summer window. Yeah. The first show we did after I said that, for that window didn't smack to me of a team that had got great ambition this year. And it's been proven.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.